Hello and welcome to the Rei Sportscar Championship here for round 5 of Season 8, and we are at the Red Bull Ring short track and there is rain about, so the wet tyres do need to be out for all of these drivers in these Mazda Roadsters. So as we go through the grid here for the sprint race here in Division 1, we do have Brothers V on pole position, with second place being Ross21. Now those two drivers actually got the exact same qualifying time, but Brothers V got the same qualifying time about 20 seconds before the Irish racer. Meanwhile, in third place is championship leader Paquito, with fourth place being Mr. Mickey Amaku. In fifth place is Snake96, with sixth place is the number 6 car Scannyflick. In seventh place is Charlie Fraser, with eighth place being Turismo 5S. In ninth place is Al Zappi making his return here in Season 8, and then at the back, rounding out the top 10, is Samios. So we've got a few Americans there at the back. But as we get away here at Red Bull Ring with the wet conditions, this is a new challenge for all of these. The heavy wet tyres have to be used by all. There is absolutely no tyre wear in this 18-lap sprint race. There's going to be a lot of amazing close racing, and we are away here at Red Bull Ring, and you can see all of the spray there coming off the back of Brothers V car into the path of Ross and Paquito. And as the trail of 10 cars make their way through, you can see they're wriggling under braking, and a lot of oversteer from our race leader, who had a terrible run, but he is still ahead of Ross for now. And Ross actually under pressure from Paquito, with Matko and Snake very close behind. Oh, and just look at the oversteer there from Ross in the white car. And with Ross oversteering there, you can see a gap is forming between himself and Brothers V. So you do have to be very, very careful on the curbs. You see that Ross actually going a little bit wider, as did Paquito, and actually that's allowing Matko to the inside, but no, Paquito shutting the door. Let's just look at that, and actually Paquito getting a time penalty for being off the track on the entry to the corner. Because he was off the track on the entry, it's meant that he has gained an advantage and gets that 1 second time penalty. Oh, and who's that going loose? I think it was Al Zappi at the back. Meanwhile, just looking here at Charlie Fraser. Is that a move possible into turn 1? No, but it's Scannyflick who's looking very close on Snake, who was half-heartedly defending. Oh, Charlie's on the inside of Scanny, but it's a long turn 2, and Scanny will hold it on the outside and be on the inside for turn 3. And you can just see the Iron Brew sponsor car with a lot of oversteer there. But I think Charlie might make the move. No, so Scanny did get a bit wide, but holds on for now. Just further back, we've got 5S, who may be a little bit surprised to be in 8th place, but maybe not as used to these wet conditions as he would like. And then we've got Al Zappi and Samios here in 9th and 10th, pretty close. But back up front, and the colour shifting livery there from Brothers leading the way. But I think that Ross is closed up. We'll just check when the fastest laps come through. 3.5, 3.2 from Ross, that's 3 tenths gained. And actually, he does have the fastest lap of the race so far. And I think we've got Matko looking on the inside of Paquito, but no, not to be. And if we look a bit further back, you see that Scanny is still in 6th ahead of Charlie Fraser. Now we've got Snake on the inside of Matko here, and you can see that's a great move there from the Italian. And I think he's actually pulled that off there in the number 27 car. Big contact between the two on the exit of the turn. And as they go through turn 3, Matko going around the outside, but that's just not going to work as the Johnny Walker car stays ahead. But it's a great run for Scannyflick, who is now going to sweep by the number 11 and into 5th place. This is fantastic work from Scanny. Now Scanny did get the pole position last time out at Blue Moon Bay, but other than that, we haven't seen too much pace. This is great stuff from him so far. We do have Matko on the inside, we've got Charlie in the back getting very loose. Just look at the rear of that car, causing Charlie to actually go off the track. Back up front, and the gap has closed yet again between Brothers and Ross, with another 2 tenths taken out of his lead. Now, Traction control is allowed here, so some drivers are using traction control, including Ross and Scanny Flick. Meanwhile, Bradesvi, Paquito and a few others are choosing not to, which, if they can do it right, it means that they will get better acceleration, but it does probably leave them in a more risky position, so definitely pros and cons to the situation, but the options available to all of these drivers. Ross has got a much better run through turn 3 and turn 4 there, carrying way more speed, and just look at the way he's closed now. Into turn 5, missing the apex slightly though, and then as we run through turn 6, Ross using a little bit more of the track. Brad is really losing the rear on the entry to the corner, but in doing so, he probably got away slightly. These two have actually pulled quite a big gap so far. Further back, and Al Zappi's had a terrible lap. So Al Zappi was fighting with Scanny, Flick and Sammy, so actually we need to check out Scanny as well. But just going through turn 4, you can just see it's going on that curb too much and ends up in the wall. Meanwhile, let's just see what's happened to Scanny. So as we go on board with him, we didn't quite catch that. We've got Matko and Snake still fighting, and he's just lost it on the entry, and I think while half spun around, Charlie's had nowhere to go and just given him a slight tap. But as we skip back to lap 5, we can see that he is now racing again with Charlie, and was that Charlie loose actually? Oh, look at, whoa, Charlie drifting it. Just about holds on, but in the process did lose that place to 5S, as well as Scanny Flick. Back up front then at the start of lap 5. And that's much more speed taken from Ross 21. Look how close he is. He got the fastest up the race last time around with another half a second taken. Oh, he's almost hitting the back. A few different lines being taken here. You can see that Bradesvi going very tight on the exit to get a better run through turn 3. Ross using more of the curb. Meanwhile, further back in Paquito still got a small penalty. And then we've got Matko. He's stayed ahead of Snake for now, but they were fighting ferociously in turn 1. 5S in 6th, Scanny in 7th, and Charlie in 8th. Back up front, and Ross is not wanting to move away from this battle for the lead. Just to note that this is actually the first round in Division 1 to feature ballast this season, so the championship leader Paquito does have a slight power reduction as well as a slight weight increase. Meanwhile, the drivers in the midfield also have slight power reductions and weight increases, although not as severe as Paquito's ballast. The maximum ballast is 4% weight and 2% power decrease. And it is based off the number of points that a driver has relative to the championship leader. So that will definitely make it closer compared to the races at Dragon Trail, Brands Hatch, and even Tsukuba Race 2. And just after Matko's got the fastest of the race, he's run very, very wide through turn 3, and Snake there doing a fantastic move on the outside, having more grip there on the track. Meanwhile, Matko on the loose and slippery curbs, dropping to 5th place. As we get towards the end of lap 6, we can see that Ross, Paquito and Bradesvi have actually now formed a 3-car battle. And the reason for that is because Paquito has been driving excellently. He gets another 3.0. And as they go towards turn 1, you can see Bradesvi car wriggling under braking. And it's Ross who might lose out here as Paquito on the rear of the Irish car. Ross going very, very deep and braking and turning very early. There's a yellow flag out. I'm not too sure who for. Might have been for Al Zappi at the back. Just see a little squiggle from Charlie Fraser. Sammy actually doing pretty well to close in there on the Scotsman. And here is Alzappi there going through turn 2, but he is finding his feet after his earlier spin. Back up to start lap 8. Bradesby is now picking up the pace again. He had some poor laps there with a 103.8 and a 103.5. Meanwhile, the pole time was actually in the 102s, I believe. But Ross is on a mission here. Maybe getting a little bit too close there going through turn 1. And Paquito with a slight penalty, but looking on the outside of turn 2. Ross almost going too late. And as we see them fly towards turn 3 here, we see that Paquito is still behind Ross. So Paquito's got a fantastic livery here made for him by Alex Sinclair. Due to the wet weather, we do have a few special liveries made for the conditions. And this is the first wet race in the Rei Sportscar Championship for about 5 seasons now. And as we go into turn 1, Ross is actually having to defend. Paquito on the outside can use a little bit of the curb, but he's choosing not to. He wants that great run out of the turn, which he certainly gets. And I think if we go on board, well no, Ross was actually the one who powered up the hill. There's a slight bit of elevation coming out turn 1, which really does make a big difference as he almost hits the race leader. But yeah, that elevation going out of turn 1 is actually crucial to get right, because it's also right when you want to go from 2nd to 3rd gear. Oh, we have a car round. I think it's Alzappi again. So the Pepsi theme car has gone very deep on the exit turn 5 and then into the entry of turn 6, has all 4 wheels off the track, and that's only going to cause pain as the number 2 ends up facing the right way. But now with the wet and slippery conditions is going to really struggle to get up to speed, and look, you can just see the rear tyres going all over the place there. He loses another 10 seconds. Now going through that same turn, turn 6, as we are now at the halfway stage. We've still got Bradders, who has led the entire race so far from pole position. Ross in 2nd place with some fantastic pace but unable to get by. And Paquito, who again been shown some excellent pace after the couple first few laps. He was originally fighting with Matko. Oh, Ross has got a fantastic run through turn 1. Bradesby making the early defence there into turn 2. First time we've had to see such a major defensive move, I think, from the number 88 as we see them come through turn 2. So yeah, just using the short layout here, but this has provided some absolutely amazing and close racing so far. And Ross is probably the closest he's actually been here after turn 3, and going into turn 5 is a great place to overtake. We've got a spinner at the back, but we'll catch that later. I think it is Matko who's lost position. He's gone from 4th to 6th, but let's just see how this battle goes between Ross, Bradders and Paquito. Ross tried the move, but Bradders V holding on, and Ross has now tapped the back of Bradders V, who was a bit oversteery through the turn, and Paquito now on the outside, who I think might only move into 2nd place. In all of that, Ross has really lost out there. No real fault of his own. He got such a good run through that final turn that he ended up hitting the back of the race leader. He's on the outside. He might run a bit wide. And no, Paquito has moved up into 2nd place. Let's just catch a couple of replays. So first off, here with pressure behind from Snake, and Matko's got oversteering through turn 3. He's ended up on that green AstroTurf, and very similar to what Alzappi did near the start of the race. He's lost it. He's managed to control it in such a way that he faced the correct way, so that is a good move, but he still lost some time. And then if we go back to this battle, if we go on board with Ross, you can see the Brothers League was almost sideways through the final turn, and yeah, that's actually cost Ross in the end who had nowhere to go, as we see Paquito getting by. We'll continue just on board here for this replay as we get on to lap 11. So Paquito broke quite early. Ross was really being aggressive to try and retake that 2nd place. He got a good run, but it's not going to be good enough to overtake at turn 1 that like that. So just a quick run through the field. We got the top 3 on our screens now, and then in 4th place is Trainer Snake 96, who won the final race at Blue Moon Bay. In 5th place is 5S, who only got the debut pole position at the first round at Tsukuba. Missed a couple of races since then. Scannyflick having a pretty good race in 6th, apart from a half spin at turn 1. Matko down to 7th, he'll be very disappointed with that. Charlie Fraser in 8th. 9th place is Samios, and 10th is Al Zappi. But as we continue to focus on this top 3, Paquito is definitely looking like the aggressor, and Bradersby has so much pressure put on him. 3.4, which isn't a bad lap time. That only matches his lap times from lap 7, 8 and 9. Meanwhile, Paquito doing pretty consistent lap times, 3.3, a 3.3, a 3.3, 3 laps in a row. But it's Ross now on the inside. But no, not to be here on lap 12, as Paquito flashes his lights, trying to see a little bit better as he almost goes down the inside there at turn 2. Very different lines taken from Brothers and Paquito, but very similar lap times overall. Oh, Ross has lost a lot of time there. You can see he's run wide. He's lost another second. So we did have 3, and it did look like Ross was the fastest in the first half of this race, but a little bit of misfortune, and maybe that small mistake has cost him and Brothers V way too far to the inside of the track through turn 5. But Paquito was on the grass actually. Oh, you can see Ross really pushing to close back in on this battle and have a chance to get a Rei Sportscar Championship win. He has had a couple of wins before though. But definitely slower lap times here, 3.5 and 3.7. So as long as Ross can keep up the similar pace he was doing before with low freeze, he will close back in. There is also a certain element of slipstream as we do have a car off. It is Al Zappi. Yeah, going into turn 2. He's probably just braked a bit too late, and I think he's ended up off the throttle, and when you're off the throttle you've got very little to help balance the car, the speed of the car, and he's gone off, and then when rejoining he has now been lapped by the leaders. Yeah, being off throttle is one of the hardest things to control here in these Master Roasters in these heavy wet conditions. Okay, sorry, just wondering, so further back we do have Scanny in 5th place. We've got Turismo 5S, who I think has actually lost a position here. Let's catch this battle. So we have definitely missed this, and there's no reason for us to not look back on it. So Scanny Flicker's fantastically caught 5S with unbelievably good lap time there, a 3.1. Going through turn 3, right on the back bumper of the Turismo Esports driver, and 5S really struggling for acceleration without traction control. Scanny Flick, who is choosing 2, finding his footing far better and on the inside of turn 5, has made the move. Great stuff there from Scanny. But they continue to battle through turn 6 with 5S on the outside. There is a bit of contact, but yes, Scanny's properly on the inside. Fantastic move to get into the top 5 for him, and we used to see him battling in the top 5 a lot, but maybe falling down the order, but this is a return to form for him. So as we go back to the midpoint here of lap 13, we've got Brothers V and Paquito. Further back, Snake has actually put in some fantastic lap times, 2.9 fairly recently. Not the fastest lap of the race though. With Scannyflick at 3.1, Turismo is now caught up by Matko, who's definitely got the fastest lap with a 2.7. Yeah, 5S is really struggling to find consistency here in the wet weather. And to the inside, the Hungarian will go. We haven't seen too many moves here at turn 1, and you've got to be careful he doesn't hit Scannyflick, and I think he's made it. Oh, 5S very loose on the exit on the curb, and I think with that, Matko will be on the inside for turn 2, but no. Oh, is that going to be contact? No, 5S holds on for now, so Grace racing between the two. It's very difficult to overtake at turn 1. Maybe better to get the run out of turn 1 and overtake into turn 2 and turn 3. Back to the leaders though, with just 4 and a bit laps remaining. Ross has caught up, but he's running a bit wide on the entry, which I think will give him a time penalty. So we got this fantastic free car battle further back as well, with Scani, 5S and Mako continuing to fight. We do have yellow flags. Not too sure who's that for. Further back we've got Charlie Fraser, who's dropped off, and also Samios, who's mostly be alone. Shame for him. Back and front, and Ross has actually lost a little bit of time. Let's just see where's that come about. I'm not too sure, so actually let's just skip ahead, sorry. And focus on the top two, because Bradesby's missed the apex. He's missed the apex by such a long distance there. And Marco, who is Paquito's, got the run. Oh, that's a dangerous move from the race leader. Maybe too dangerous. We'll see if that will be looked against after the race. And we'll just catch a replay of that action there. So going in, you can see Paquito's got much better run. And then, does Bradesby have the overlap? Oh no, there is contact. So Bradesby was trying to defend, trying to cut across, but there was not space. And Paquito really did have the inside, so that definitely a mistake from Bradesby. Paquito still on the back of him though, and might make the move into turn 2, which would redeem himself there for Paquito if he can now overtake after the incident which Bradesby caused. And Paquito takes the lead here at lap 16, and Bradesby, after leading for 15 laps, finally loses it here in this Division 1 sprint race. But Paquito's got a worse run through turn 2 and turn 3, and it's going to be Bradesby now looking back for the overtake to take the lead here on lap 16 as we go into turn 5. They're side by side. Bradesby trying to use all the track and actually going around the outside. We haven't even seen an overtake there, and we haven't seen an overtake there because it's so hard to keep the track position, and I think he might get a time penalty for the abuse of track limits. Yes, he does. Just half a second that might be able to be lifted off before the end of this race. With all of this fighting, Snake is also closed up as the leaders lose about a second there. And after the incident there on the last lap, yeah, Bradesby falling down to second and very, very aggressive. And Paquito's all over the shop. He's almost in the grass. His rear right wheel does clip the grass. He holds on though spectacularly there. Amazing car control. Although better car control would have been not losing it in the first place. Although he is leading this race, so he has been the best to show car control throughout this entire 17 laps so far. Bradders, Ross and Snake second, third and fourth. Just a quick look further back, we've got Scani, Mako, who's now got ahead of 5S. Let's see if that was recently. It was, so oh no, 5S slightly moved up ahead of Scani. Apologies for missing that, not sure how long ago that was. But then 5S has lost it. You can just see, very similar to what Paquito just did, but he saves it. Let's just get it on board with that. Let's look at his steering control. So Paquito and 5S making the same mistake, just a few seconds apart. Too aggressive on the throttle, full steering to the left, full steering to the right. A little bit of loss of acceleration, but Scani, Mako getting by. 5S drops down to 7th. Now 5S had actually moved up to 5th, not too sure when, but that is now all lost on him. And as we go with just 1.5 laps remaining, Paquito does seem to have snatched the win here from Brothers. But Brothers only has himself to blame currently. Ross is looking feisty, maybe trying to get into second place. Was definitely the most aggressive in the first half of the race, but what's happened here? Brothers is right onto Paquito. Paquito having to defend. Snake is also looking like he might grab a podium here, fighting with Ross. Brothers going to the outside. Paquito defending on the inside. Ross is defending on the inside. Brothers to the outside. We have not seen an overtake here all race. And all they're side by side, and Bradesby might actually be the first person to overtake around the outside of turn 1 here. But no, not just yet, but it's the final lap, and I think Bradesby no, he has to hold off. Let's just get a quick replay of that action because Snake has also got past in all of that. So let's just watch from this view. We can also see the battle ahead. Ross defending maybe a little bit too heavily. He's braked too late. Snake sneaks through. You can see the top two there, side by side on the exit. You cannot get much closer to that. And as we continue looking on board here, you can see Bradley really forcing Paquito very deep to the inside. But having to cut back on the exit of turn 2, we've got just a few corners remaining. Ross dropping down out of the podium positions for now. Snake has just done the fastest lap of the race. And who is going to be triumphant here at Red Bull Ring? Paquito going to the inside, defending Bradley to the inside. Now that would be one hell of a move if he can pull it off. Has he braked too late? No, he's made it, but Paquito holding it around the outside as we go into the final turn. Oh, I think that's contact. Was that an incident? And there's a bump there from Snake. Paquito's gone wide. Bradley to the inside to the checkered flag, and Bradley is going to take the win here. What a move. Was there incident though? We'll have to catch a replay. 5th, 6th and 7th is going to be Mako, Scannyflick and 5S. Let's just catch a replay of some of this action as they cross the line. What happened here? So let's watch this. So Mako's got a better run out of the final turn, getting by Scanny on the inside here at turn 1. So great stuff here to show on the Wolf Cola sponsored replay. 5S unable to do much in 7th it seems, but we will go on board because he's going to be a great person to see this battle that happened here on lap 18. Oh, he goes down the inside. Oh, and there's contact there with Scanny, but he holds off and will stay in 7th. Scanny therefore was in 6th, but as we go, here is on board with the leaders. You got Snake on the inside, and oh, that is contact with the rear left of Paquito's car. That sent Paquito off, and then the number 74 just doesn't have the acceleration there off the track. And you can see that Bradley crossing the line to win by a 1/10 of a second. Paquito might be quite furious there. There was a love tap. Was that in the spirit of the rules? Well, we'll see if it is decided to be investigated. And there is the top 4 crossing the line again. Here was 5th, 6th and 7th almost overtaking at the final turn. And then further back we had Charlie Fraser finishing in 8th place. He did have some good pace, but a couple of mistakes dropped him down away from that middle pack. Samios will come across in 9th place. Alzappi a lap down in 10th, but he got his fastest lap of the race there near the end. We hope you've enjoyed this race in the Rei Sportscar Championship. An eventful race with so much action throughout the field. We'll see you for Division 2 racing as well as the Division 1 feature race to come.